chalky white. It's sort of translucent. It's salty, but it has a wonderful lemon flavor and none of the bitterness that you associate with lemon rind. That has been soaked out of it. And then finally, I'm going to put some garlic in this mix. All right, this vegetable bed that is here in the pan just needs to be mixed up. And as the name suggests, this is a bed for something. It's a bed for our salmon to sleep in. I'm going to add some capers to this mix. And I have some caper berries right here. Caper berries and capers are related. If you liken capers and the caper bush to a rose, if you were to pickle a rose bud, that would be what a caper is. If you don't pickle it, the bud would open into a blossom, and after the blossom, you would see a seed head or a hip. And if you were to harvest that and pickle it, that's what a caperberry is. So I've got some caperberries here already sliced in half. If you can't find caperberries, but you have capers in your refrigerator, that's fine. You can use them interchangeably. Now, our fish needs to go right on top of that bed. And all of the goodness that is in that charmoula needs to be added to the pan. So when this cooks, the vegetables will cook. The fish will cook and lend its savor to the vegetables below. And I'm going to create a little bit of a sauce by adding some other ingredients in here. I want to put some saffron in here, water soaked in saffron, or saffron soaked in water, rather. And I will just talk real briefly about saffron. Saffron is the stamen from a particular kind of crocus. Out of each blossom comes 3 threads of saffron. And what makes saffron valuable is not only the difficulty of harvesting it, but it has a wonderful flavor and it lends a wonderful color to a dish. The way to get the most from saffron is to put warm water on it ahead of time, as I have done, to get the most flavor and color out of it. You want to be careful not to soak it in oil because oil will encapsulate it and none of the color or the flavor can get out. If you take a look at your saffron and you see a lot of yellow threads, not red threads, but yellow threads, that's indicative of poor quality saffron. And if you find powdered saffron, usually that is a product that's trying to disguise the fact that it's a poor quality product. It's an expensive spice, likely one of the most expensive in the world, but a small amount goes a long way and it keeps pretty well. So don't be shy about finding it and using it both. All right, at this point, our fish is here, our vegetable bed is ready. We added saffron water. I'm going to add some olive oil. I'm going to put a little bit of more water in. And then finally, just a splash of lemon juice. This is going to cook in the oven. And what will make it go a little bit faster is if I put it on top of the stove and I bring it to a boil before I put it into the oven. Once it's at a boil, I'll put the lid on. And this should probably cook for about 25 to 30 minutes. The vegetables will become tender, the moisture will boil, create steam, that will cook the fish. The juices from the fish will mingle with the vegetable juices below, and this is everything in one pot. So while this comes up to a boil, let me show you how to make preserved lemons. You need a non-reactive jar. We're going to put a lot of salt, aggressive salt in here, so anything made out of metal typically will react with salt. I've got lemons, and what I want to do is take them and cut them top to bottom almost all the way through. so that I can open them up like a little blossom. I'm going to take a little bit of salt and put it in there just to hold them open, and then pack them into a jar. And then this last one, I may be able to fit a few more pieces in here. You want to pack them in fairly tight. There's one, and there's another, and that's going to be it. I can see that our fish is now at a boil, so let's put the lid on. And I'm going to put this into the oven at about 375, and as I said, about 25 minutes. All right, back to our preserved lemons. I've got the lemons packed into the jar. I want to create a brine to pour over the top, and what that brine will do is draw all of the bitterness out of the rind. I usually use 2 parts water to 1 part salt by volume. So here is about 1.5 cups of salt, and to that I'll add about 3 cups of water. And we're just going to bring that up to a boil. Bring that up to a boil, and when it comes to a boil, I'll pour it over the top, and those will be set aside for about 6 weeks. At the end of 6 weeks, and this is at room temperature, you'll have something that looks like that. So here is a preserved lemon. One of the ways that you know they're done is that if you take your thumb and you push the flesh away from the rind, it should separate very, very easily. I'll do it again. You just push the flesh and it just separates easily from the rind. Just like that. So that's one indication of their being done. This you can squeeze the juice out of and add it back to the jar. There's another indication of doneness, and that is ordinarily this peel is white on the inside and kind of chalky looking. But if you take a look, this is translucent throughout. So that's how you can tell that this is done. Now this brine is just coming up right now, but when it's done, we'll pour it over that jar. Preserved lemons will keep very, very well for about a year in your refrigerator. They usually take about 6 weeks at room temperature and then move them into the refrigerator. The only challenge you might have is if somebody goes in here with dirty hands endlessly. If you see any mold beginning to grow on the top, just pour the brine off, boil it one time, and pour it back over the top. And you'll be good. Like I said, they keep well from 1 year to the next even. We're going to make one more dish, and this dish is a salad. Let me just introduce this salad by bringing up this beautiful selection of vegetables here. You likely know Greek salad, and this is a Greek salad deconstructed. A Greek salad is a great example of Mediterranean food because it is lots and lots of vegetable matter made palatable with a little bit of lemon juice and a little bit of olive oil and not much else. This has some feta cheese with it, which is a typical cheese in Greece. But where this Greek salad is going to depart from the one that you know is that we're going to take it and we're going to put it on top of a barley rusk. And I have those barley rusks here. This is whole grain barley baked into a bread, sliced and then allowed to dry or baked until it's completely dry. We're going to rehydrate those barley rusks just by pouring some water over the top of them and letting them sit a little bit in that water. I'm going to also put some lemon juice in just so we don't rob it of flavor. And I think we could get away with just a little bit more water. Now, I turn the barley rusks in the water until I feel them beginning to soften. I don't want them to fall apart completely. I want them just to begin to soften. And when they get there, then I will pull them out and let them continue to rehydrate out of the water. I don't want them to become too soggy. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. All right, these I think are good. As soon as they soften enough for me to push my finger into them, that's probably when they should come out. Right over here, our brine is boiling. So let's pour it over these lemons. I'm going to do it in the sink just so that if I spill a little bit, it's not the end of the world. There we are. I'll set those aside. They need to sit at room temperature now for about 6 weeks, and when the flesh pushes away and the rind is translucent, then you know they're done. All right, onwards. Let's turn this into a